So we used to say Chachma bin Adas, Chabad, is wisdom, understanding, and knowledge.
Right.
I didn't have a clue what the difference between those three is. Wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. It's like three different names of the word of white for Eskimos. It's the same thing. Wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. What's the difference if I have wisdom, if I have understanding, or if I have knowledge? I like to speak English. I like to say words that I actually understand. And that's why I interpret it. And the word is Chachma bin Adas. That's the word. But the question is, what does that mean to you? So the way I explain it is like this. Chachma is the idea, the flash of inspiration. That's the flash of inspiration. Bina means understanding, where you take that flash of inspiration and you expand it down to its details. You know, for example, when you get an idea, my son was telling me the other day, he was very upset. My 5-year-old. He was very upset because he got an idea, then somebody distracted him.
He forgot.
And he forgot the idea, and he was very annoyed about it. So I said, you had Chachma, but you didn't go into Bina. You need a focus.
Explain that to him?
Yeah, you need a focus. You need to focus. When you get an idea, you have to focus. Because if you start looking at the toy, or if you start looking at the lollipop, then you're going to forget the idea that you had in your head. Right? You have to be able to focus your chachma if you want to bring it into Bina. Right? We had an interesting discussion when we home from shul. So idea, when you get that idea and you say to someone, just don't bother me, please, 1 second, hold on. Oh, I got it. Right? You got to lock it down. Right? Otherwise it's going to be like a hot air balloon. It's going to go, right? You got to tether it with Bina. But now Bina is in the world of the brain. Bina is purely in the world of the brain. The novelty of what excited me about becoming a Chabadnik personally was the third level, was Das. Because everybody can understand stuff. It's no big deal. But to be able to feel what you learn, that's going to change your life. And that's Das. That is meditation. And Tanya chapter 3 explains to us. We're up to chapter 16 today. So we're really tying it all together today. Tanya chapter 3 explains to us that if you want to change who you are, you can actually remember. You have to remember, who am I? What am I? Who am I? I'm my soul. My soul is intellectual and emotional components, right? If you want to change how you feel, how your emotions are, you got to do that through meditation. You have to do that through meditation. Meditation means focused thought, like a laser, just like a laser. What's a laser? A laser is focused light, right? When you focus the light on a target and you just sustain that, you sustain the light, it can bore through steel, right? Same thing with our hearts. If you focus the light from Chachma and Bina, like a laser, you focus it into your heart, it will bore through the heart, and it will help you, it will make you start to feel that which you are understanding. Most people finish studying when they close the book. But the Chabadnik knows that closing the book is only 2/3 of the way. I'm only at the end of Bina, at the end of comprehension. Now that I've closed the book, now is when I need to start to feel. Because I'm not just a Jew in theory, I'm a Jew in practice. I want a meaningful relationship. I want a meaningful relationship.
You have to practice.
I want to have a meaningful relationship with God. I don't want to have just an abstract professorial relationship with God. I want to have a meaningful relationship. But how do I start to feel? What can I do in order to start to feel? So for that you need to close the book, and now you need to get out of the mindset of learning new things. You're no longer learning new things. You're closing the book. It's only about focusing on what I already understand. I just don't feel yet, right? Because it's in the world of the objective. To go from objective to jump the chasm, from objective into subjective, that happens through the meditation, through the third level, which is Das. Das is what's going to set your soul on fire. Das is what's going to make you alive. It's what's going to make you present. Right? Instead of living in your head, you're going to be living in your heart. You're going to be present in your heart. I sometimes feel that in our distracted society, where I sometimes feel like there's like just these talking heads. Like we're almost talking to people from the neck, from the shoulders and up, because, people's hearts are in other places. They're just in other places. My heart is there, my heart is here. To be able to be where you are, is a major achievement in our distracted generation. Can you relate to that? You can relate to that?
Sure, much.
Yes, but if you live in your heart, you become too emotional.
No, you have to control your emotion. You got to be a self mastery. You can't just say, "Well, I'm going to nix my heart because I'm afraid of becoming too emotional." You got powerful tools in here. You got to use them and master them, right? That's what Tanya's guiding
It's
us.
not starting with the heart.
Yeah, you got to
with the knowledge.
Chachma bina and then das. You got to guide your emotions. That's what Tanya's all about. It's about guiding your emotions through mindfulness, using Chachma and Bina, idea and understanding to control that emotion. I'm going to get you in a moment. I was trying to finish this point out here. And that is that I just find that people living in a distracted generation, you talk to them like this, and like eye contact is just so precious today. And you just don't get it. You just don't get it because people's hearts are elsewhere. They're on Insta or on Facebook or on somewhere else. I don't know where. They're just not here, right? And it's annoying. You're like talking to these mindless, empty heads sometimes, So to be able to be present, Tanya teaches us how to be present. And you got to go through that process of Chachma Bina and Das. Now, I feel that over the past year or two that we've been learning Tanya, and it's been a really difficult process for us to come to terms with these very beautiful but out of this world ideas. And we've spoken so much about it week after week after week that we're starting to get a familiarity with it. And now as we hit chapter 16, the Tanya really starts to tie things together in today's session. As we start to say, okay, now we're ready to fulfill what we set the task out to be at the opening of the Tanya, the introduction page. You remember, Tanya is based upon the verse in the end of Devarim, at the end of the Torah, for the matter is very near to you in your mouth and in your heart that you may do it. Right? Remember, TSA. I'm almost done it. TSA. For the thing is very near to you in your mouth and in your heart that you may do it. TSA is thought, speech, action. Right? For the thing is very near to you to be perfect in your TSA, in your thought, speech, and action. Mouth, heart, that you may do it. And we started the Tanya, how is it easy to be a perfect Jew? So the first thing we set out to explain in the past 5 or so chapters was, what does it mean? To have perfect TSA means that you're a Beinani. It means that you're not an evil Russia, you're not a tzaddik, but you're a Beinani. You're in full control of your expressions of TSA, thought, speech, and action. But how is it easy to be a Beinani? How is this easy? For the thing is very near to you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it. So Tanya set out like this. The first 9 chapters were just laying out the groundwork, the toolbox, going through the toolbox. Chapters 9 through 17 is the long way. Chapters 18 through 25 is the short way. Quick story. Ed, I'm sorry, what was your point there?
Understanding is up to the person. Because if you go to your Passover prayers and everything else, the book, you have the stages saying it different ways, different things.
Okay.
So understanding is a very big, particular undertaking for everybody.
Yeah, if you listen, you got to be honest with yourself. If you either understood it or you didn't understand it.
No, it is an understanding of it because it's how you interpret what I am saying right now and how.
Look, Ed, I don't want to get stuck in the world of understanding because I do think that that's self-explanatory. If you're not intellectually honest with yourself, that you want to tell people that you understand, you didn't really understand, then you got other problems. But I think today I just want to focus on the world of Das. I want to focus on Das, on meditation today, right? I just want to focus on that, right? So,
Do we need our books?
yeah, we'll get them in a moment. Just I'm working towards it. So we said 9 through 17 is the long way, 18 to 25 is the short way. There's a story in the Talmud of a Roman soldier who comes on the way to Jerusalem, and he meets a little Jewish boy, and he says, how do I get to Jerusalem? In classic Jewish style, the Jewish boy tells him, well, if you go this way, it's long but short. If you go that way, it's short but long. And the guy's like, what? Okay. He just hears short. So he's like, okay, I'll go the short but long way. Fine, I'm going the short. He just hears short. He goes the short because he sees Jerusalem's right there. The long way seems to lead away from Jerusalem. So he sees the short but long way. He goes. And he goes there, but he realizes there's like a river and there's thorns and there's a chasm and there's all sorts of problems getting there. Eventually he gives up and he comes back torn, bleeding. He comes back to the kid and he's like, I thought they said that you Jewish kids from Jerusalem were smart. Why did you like mess around with me and tell me that was the short way? He said, I told you that's a short but long way. This is the long but short way. He said, aha. So that's what we have over here, is that we have in Tanya the short but long way, which is chapter 18 to 25. And the long but short way is 9 through 17. Why? Because what we're doing now is the long but short way. You want to what? To self-mastery. Thank you, Steve. Is the long but short way to self-mastery. What that means is that you're doing it sequentially through the meditative process. It's not easy to meditate. You're doing it through the meditative process, right? You're doing it through the meditative process. And when you're able to focus your thoughts and you're able to meditate, you will give birth to an emotion. And like we said in Tanya chapter 3, and that process of evolution in our minds from Chachma idea to Bina understanding to Das meditation will give birth to an emotion, and that will be able to control your TSA, your thought, speech, and action. Because when your heart's on fire, we said a few chapters ago, that's when you're able, I think it was chapter 9, when your heart's on fire, you're going to be able to control the platforms, the 3 platforms of TSA, thought, speech, and action. And that's the long but short way, right? It's long, but it's actually short because you actually will reach your destination eventually, right? The short but long way is what we're going to discuss in 18 through 25. That is the way, not of creating a new love for God, but of using the natural love which we all have inherited from our forefather Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When we're able to tap into that natural love, which is already there, you'll have the short, because it's already there, but long way because it's got its own problems we'll learn about later. Then, by the way, in chapters 26 through 32, that's when we get a little bit more into character refinement, which actually is the theme of the JLI course, Wednesday night's JLI course, which is chapters 26 through 32. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a helicopter view of where we're standing in Tanya. So right now we're very close to the end of the long but short way, of the meditative way. And what I wanted to do today, right now, is to get actually into a meditation, which I was actually designing last night till like 3:30 in the morning, and I was actually inspired by comments like Gail's and some other people from Wednesday night's class, when we had a meditation in the JLI class, which I heard tremendous feedback on. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this out. I want to see if we can make this work again, right? If we can incorporate more Das into our Tanya study, right? So I'm actually going to run a meditation very shortly, and let me know how it works, okay? We'll see how it goes, okay? I'm sorry, Gail.
I'm just confused about terminology. I thought you're saying Das is meditation. I thought it's been a while that you said Das was integration, that Chachma was like the thought where you meditate on it and you think about it, and then Bina was like understanding it, and Das is integrating the knowledge that you get in meditation into your life. Because isn't that how emotions change? Through our actions? But our actions can't change until our thoughts change.
No, it sounds like a little confused. What I try to do is, what I wanted to do today was to clarify, to put things into proper focus. Chachma is just the idea. The meditative component of Chachma is just struggling with the problem.
So Chachma is the concept.
Chachma is struggling with the question until you get the light bulb. That's the only meditative component of Chachma, which is just meditating on the problem.
Okay.
Right? Which leads you to the light bulb moment. That's idea. The Chachma is not the meditative part. It's the light bulb moment. That's Chachma. Right?
Okay.
Idea.
Okay.
Then, once you have the idea, you got to capture it. You got to lock it down. You got to understand it in all its nooks and crannies and crevices.
Right.
That's Bina, that's comprehension.
Okay.
But now that you've got the light and you've captured the light, it's still in the world of the objective. To make it mine,
Conceptual meaning.
to take it from conceptual to actual, from objective to subjective, you have to go through the marinating process, which is actually marinating on the light. So take that light, meditate upon the light, focus like a laser on the light of Chachma, which is now already into Bina, expanded, and that is what's going to give birth to your emotions.
Can you give us an example of something that you had that shows us exactly how you did it?
Did what?
What you just said.
The meditation?
Yeah.
Okay, you're about to get it. I mean, we're gonna do a meditation right now. Ready?
No, you did.
What did I do? I don't understand what I did.
What's an example of how you took an
you
idea and
did
took it through
what you
Chabad
just
Das
said.
in your own life?
How you
like,
do it. Anything.
Very okay. You first of all, you've meditated. You think about the problem. When you have a problem, you got a problem. Anything.
Needs an example.
I needed.
Not the idea, not the concept, like a specific.
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Okay, thank you.
So, a person has an argument with someone that they love. No, I'll give you another very practical. I was talking about it last night. So somebody has a business competitor, right? You have a business competitor and you feel lousy. You feel just like in a bad mood because you're a business competitor, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody likes a competitor. So we meditated on, I shared with this person the idea that competition is good for you. What? Whoa, hold that thought, Rabbi. What do you mean competition is good for you? And then they started to think about it. They started to think, that there's actually a benefit for the competition, right? Sure. And they started to I can see why competition, maybe, intellectually I can understand that maybe, it causes you to up your game, right? It causes you to,
Focus.
yeah, but it causes you not to rest on your laurels, not to get lazy, right? That makes sense intellectually. But how does that affect me? Like here, in my heart. So then I said to this person, look, in your particular business, if not for the wind that opposed the airplane would never take off the ground. And I showed this person how his business actually succeeded more every time his competitor raised it up a notch, right? And when the person meditated upon that, they started to feel, I'm starting to like this guy. Because they started to realize that for me personally, this is good. For me personally, it's good. Do you follow what I'm saying here? So there's an idea. He started off with a problem.
Right.
Started with the problem of his competitor. Became an idea of somehow competition is good for you. Sounds cliched, but let me think about that, right? And then that evolved into something which he understood. And then when we got into when we actually meditated about it, we spoke about it. In this case, it was a verbal meditation. When we spoke about it, the person started to understand how the application of this idea affected him personally in his personal problem on this day, and a personal problem in that problem, and not some other problem. And then he started to feel like actually a positive feeling towards his competitor.
Open.
Yeah.
Open to what
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
Not to
So look, I mean, if you're not meditating, you're missing out on a major part of life. You're living a cerebral life, but you're not feeling. And if you're not feeling, you're not controlling your emotion. If you're not controlling your emotion, then you're almost like an animal in the sense that an animal is instinctive and impulsive, reactive to other external stimuli. The unique quality of the human is that we're able to be mindful, that we're able to be cognitive and to direct our thought, our conscious thought, in a very specific direction, to be able to muster the emotion that we seek to create. And that's what we're trying to do here today. Yeah.
Just a quick question. When I move along in a particular environment, I don't necessarily have to sit down, close my eyes, and think.
Okay.
I can be thinking all the time.
Good.
While moving around.
No problem with that.
And presenting the solution or whatever I do.
Very good. But all I'm asking you to do is mindful thinking.
Mindful.
I'm asking you to do mindful thinking, which is, imagine you had a video screen of what goes on in people's head. Imagine everybody had like a video monitor on top of their head, and you could see what they're thinking about. Wouldn't that be awesome? Probably be scary, right?
That's scary. Know what other people are thinking.
That's scary about
How many thoughts of your day are hyper-focused? And how many thoughts of your day are just like observational? Yellow car, blue car, nice car. Right? How often, you see what I'm saying? How many of your thoughts, and only you know the answer to this question, how often do you sit and just think about what you actually want to think about instead of being entertained by a movie or being entertained by some social media or someone else talking to you? How often are you just like guiding your own emotion? And that's what we're trying to do today, because remember, in our aspiration to become a Beinani, to master the TSA, Chochmah Bina Das, thought, speech, and action, you have to be able to go through the process of descent, of evolution, which starts off at Chachma Bina Das. That creates the emotions, and it's those emotions that create a flaming fire. Remember there was, in chapter 9, we spoke about the two kings in the city. One city, two kings, the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov, the good inclination and the evil inclination, the selfish soul and the selfless soul, and they're fighting for dominion over the three gates of the city, thought, speech, and action. Right? That was the metaphor. If one of those two souls suddenly gets fired up with some blazing emotion. This is chapter 9. Some blazing emotion. There was this unbelievable fiery love of God. It just sort of will overwhelm all those three gates of thought, speech, and action. You'll start thinking and speaking and doing what that emotion is like, overflowing like an eruption within you. Right? But if you're not cognitively directing your emotions, you're like benign. You're sort of like, it's like your heart is in a coma. Your emotions are comatose. It's sad. It's a tragedy, right? You see what I'm saying? So, you can use this stuff, for example, to meditate upon your relationships. When you have a fight or a disagreement with somebody that you love, and you feel like you're getting so frustrated with the people that you love because they're not cooperating, you can meditate upon the idea of how this is good for you, of how their love, you can meditate upon these ideas. I don't want to get into a distracted theme again now, but I'm just saying that this meditative stuff isn't just about godly stuff. It's about relationships. Yeah. It's about business. It's about all sorts of things, And you look at a person who is a kluge mensch, a wise person. You can always tell by the creases in the forehead. You can tell a person. The what?
No Botox.
Right. You can see a person that's a proactive thinker versus somebody that's just sort of, reacting to the blows around them. Okay. So what I would like to do is to try to do this meditation. Do you mind guys coming around? Would you mind coming up here so we can be around the table on the meditation? Is that all right with you? Thank you. Yeah, this person left actually. Yeah.
Nobody sits in the back here, guys.
Yeah, the expensive seats in the back.
We'll need a bigger table.
No, it's good. If we get the energy of sitting around the table, it's really good. It's really healthy.
I'm going to sit over there because I have to leave in 15.
No problem. Okay. So what I'd like to do again, folks, I need your... have you ever done this, Steve, this meditation with your other... You've had a very difficult time. Okay, thank you for your honesty. Have you ever been to a Tanya class where they try to do this? No.
Except for here.
Oh, you've only done it with me? Have you tried it with me? Did you listen to the recording last week?
Of course.
How did you feel about the recording?
The recording's great, but I deal with TM, Transcendental Meditation. I can't do it.
Were you able? You listened to the JLI class?
Of course.
And you followed the meditation at the end?
I had a difficult time.
Fine, you had a difficult time.
No, it's hard to do.
Okay, so fine. I respect that. I respect that. But you connected with it, right? And you also connected with it, right? Fine. So let's try it out. I want to see.
Can I suggest something?
I should be, but I'm just not.
You lose people, and if you really pay attention to the meditation, you can fall asleep.
Yeah.
So you lose the people in that one. I tried hard to pull myself away from your guided meditation as you were saying it on Wednesday, because I didn't want to fall asleep and then I'd miss, how you got there.
Why would you be falling asleep? I don't understand.
Fall asleep.
Is it because you're tired? Like why?
That's called
Good, but it's just a...
It's like hypnosis, right?
down.
Look,
Very soothing.
it's a guided
I think
meditative.
it brings you more to your subconscious. So if your conscious brain falls asleep and shuts down, I think that's the point.
If you would have
That-
fallen
fall
off
off
the
the
chair,
chair,
then
then
you're
you're-
You want to go deeper. Look. Perhaps you can try this.
You need to go to bed.
Try. Andy is Ashley here, by the way, because it would be nice if we had a sentry So that way, if the bell does ring, we don't have to all like jump out of here,
Yeah, right.
It would be nice.
I'll do it.
You'll be the sentry,
Open
fine.
the door.
Ron, we have a volunteer, so he'll be in charge. So if the bell
Only
rings in
15
the middle,
minutes, we gotta go.
if the bell rings, don't worry about it. You don't have to look. You can just keep on your meditation because Ron will be in charge of the door. Okay? All right. Now I want to say one more thing to the skeptics here. I want to say one more thing to the skeptics, and that is, perhaps try to keep an open mind in this. Don't come in with any preconceived notions of what I can or cannot do, right? And you know what? Also to the skeptics, I want to say to you, don't see this as a meditation. We're not doing a meditation, okay? I'm asking you to think about something, that's all.
Contemplation.
That's it.
Just exactly, let's call it a contemplation.
And if I fall asleep, wake me up.
Yeah, if he snores too loud, just kick him, all right?
Think about something very
Fine. So what we're trying to do now is remember. But Andy, remember, we're going through the process of Chabad, and we've never really done this. We've always felt comfortable in the world of speech, and never in the world of thought. We've never really done guided thought, right? We've always felt comfortable in the world of Bina. We've never really ventured into the world of Das. I always tell you, okay, at the end of the class, guys, go home, meditate, think about it, think about what we learned about it, and probably in one ear and out the other by the time you're out the door, right? So what we're trying to do today is to actually do the meditation in the class. Now, bear in mind, I am also evolving because I was not taught this, okay? The teachers, whatever, they don't really teach this stuff. So I'm trying to evolve this based upon my own gut instinct, okay? So bear that in mind, and I would very much appreciate your feedback on this. This is a revolution in process. If this works, this could be huge, okay? It could be huge.
Buzz. Put it on
Phones
buzz.
off. or
Yeah,
something.
phones off would be great.
Would be great.
And one other thing I wanted to tell you before we start.
You don't hurry up and fall asleep soon.
I'm just trying to think what the other thing I wanted to tell you was.
Meditate.
No, just one second, I wanted to say anything. Look, we've been learning about becoming a Beinoni. We truly are in the world of Bina. I think everybody around this table understands what a Beinoni is. I think. Right? But we've never actually tried to step inside the door. Right? We've never actually tried to step inside the door. But Tanya's long way tells us, if you think about something, according to the steps of Chachma Bina Das, you will reach those emotions. So what we're doing today, and this is what I wanted to say to you, we are doing today Chabad. Welcome to Chabad of Palm Beach Gardens. Okay? Not Chab, but Chabad. Okay? Because Chabad this is critical to our ability to master and be in control of our emotions. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do now. Now, bear in mind, I wrote this meditation by myself. I hope that you'll connect with it. If not, what's the worst that can happen, right? The worst that can happen. We'll discuss it after. It's going to be...
We'll ask for a refund.
Yeah, exactly. It would take us just maybe no more than 5 minutes, okay? I don't think. Okay?
How should we sit? Should
Just
we put our
relax.
hands
Just
on our
relax.
lap?
You're not floating. You want to keep your eyes open. You want to keep your eyes closed.
really?
Whatever you want. There's no rules.
Oh, okay.
There's no rules. You can sit like this. Just think. I think it's critical to have your phones off. It's critical.
Yes.
And I think that you just have to be present here right now. And just keep an open mind. Keep an open mind to the idea that I'm going to be sharing with you. I'm going to be sharing with you a meditation that you are familiar with, but you've never, or perhaps have never dwelled on. I'm going to bring you to the Adon Olam. Okay? And I think it's going to be beneficial to do it bilingual. I'm going to be telling you Hebrew words because of the vibrations of the Hebrew words. And I'm going to be translating those words as well, okay? So don't get lost if you hear little Hebrew words here and there. And again, open eyes, closed eyes, matchsticks in the eyes if you want, Joe. No problem with me. Whatever you want. I won't be
Take
insulted.
away my class.
Which class?
Teaching.
Oh, yeah, no. No.
This
You're
is
teaching Bina. I'm teaching Das.
Got it.
Different
Okay,
class.
alright.
Okay, so I'm going to put background music. This music is actually like my absolute favorite soul niggun. It's the Poltava niggun. I absolutely love this niggun. Turns my soul on fire. Okay, I'm going to play it in the background. Now, there's no pressure to what we're doing right now. If you connect, great. You don't connect, nothing happened. Right? It's totally fine. And we'll discuss afterwards how we felt about it. Right? We're ready. Any questions? And you don't have to close your eyes when I say close your eyes, okay? Gently close your eyes and focus on your breath, preferring the breath to enter and exit through your nose. And as you breathe in, become aware that the air is cool. And as you breathe out, the air is slightly warmer. Focus on that temperature differential. Gently breathing in and breathing out. Deeper breath. Allowing the breath to enter deep into your being. And allowing, with each breath, a deeper flow down to your abdomen. Focus on the variety of beings in the universe. How many myriads of species and life forms there are. Focus now on the intricacy of this universe. How complex and sophisticated each individual creature is. Yet, despite all of this, none of it was always here. It was placed here by a master craftsman, lovingly designed and carefully thought out by the Almighty Creator. Adon Olam Asher Malach, the Lord of the universe who reigned. B'terem kol Yetzir Nivra, before anything was created. Le'et na'asa b'chefetz kol, when all was made by His will. Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, He was acknowledged as king. V'acharei kichlot hakol, and when all shall end, Levado yimloch nora, He still, all alone, shall reign. V'hu haya, v'hu hoveh, He was, He is, v'hu yihiyeh betifara, and He shall be forever in glory. V'hu echad, v'ein sheni, and He is one and there is no other. Lehamshil lo lehachbira, to compare or join to Him. Beli reshit, beli tachlit, without beginning, without end. V'lo ha'oz v'hamisra, and to Him alone belongs dominion and power. This realization of God's incomparable power lights up a fire in our souls, a yearning away from the darkness. We feel drawn to be part of this beautiful light. Vehu Eli v'chai goali, and He is my God, my living God. V'tzur chevli be'et tzara, to Him I flee in time of grief. But alas, like flames chained to the wicks, our souls are bound to our bodies. They cannot escape. They are stuck down below. And then suddenly we realize that yes, We can. We can embrace this infinite light. In His extraordinary kindness, God has given us a key through which even us mortals can connect with His infinite light. V'hu nisi umanos li, and He is my miracle and my refuge. Menat kosi b'yom ekra, who answers the day I shall call. When embracing your beloved Father, the clothing He wears doesn't interfere with the love. Torah is where He clothed His divine wisdom. Mitzvahs too are tools of His blessed will. Beyado afkid ruchi, to Him I commit my spirit. Be'et ishan ve'aira, in the time of sleep and awakening. Ve'im ruchi gaviati, and even if my spirit leaves, Hashem li ve'lo ira, God is with me, I shall not fear. Think about how you can connect with this beautiful light by each individual mitzvah that you engage in, by each wisdom of Torah that you fathom. You are embracing your beloved Father, the magnificent light, the infinite light, the only living eternal being. Focus again on your breath. Gently breathing in and breathing out. Here in this room, move your fingers, move your toes. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, coming all the way back, having found within you the key to quenching your thirst for the infinite light.
Wow,
Can you send us that?
that was a really,
That's a beautiful neon.
but one, that's my favorite one too, but the words and the way you're just saying
I'll share my thoughts or how I was feeling. First of all, I saw all the planets. When you said universe, I could see all the planets and sparks. Then, for no reason, tears were rolling down my face and I couldn't stop. Then my palms got soaking wet. And it was amazing. I mean, I could hear you, I was awake. I wasn't in La La Land someplace. I don't think I was. But
What did you feel on the inside?
I was on fire. In my heart, I was
Charlotte, what's going on?
soaking.
Can you talk?
In a minute.
May I?
during the meditation, there were two things that I experienced. One was hands-on healer. So one was like a laser of energy, this pinpoint. And the other was in my near-death experience, this profound peace, undescribable, like connecting with Hashem.
Anyone else?
I say this through tears because of what I'm going through right now, but when you're translating Adon Olam, it made me feel, I've been so angry with Hashem for taking away my son. I started feeling forgiveness. I started feeling who Hashem really is, and what he does, and that it's all goodness. And I just felt like I was forgiving him and connecting back and bringing him back into my heart, because he's been away these past couple weeks. I've really been struggling with anger at him, and that prayer is just so powerful. It's so beautiful, the words, and just describing how awesomely great he is. And it just made me feel like I'm loving him again.
Wow. Anyone else?
I felt similarly. I was talking to God and asking him a favor to just let me see my husband, whether it's in a dream, somehow. I just wanted to beg him for that, and I've been doing that. But my connection with God was so holy at that moment. It was very deep, sad and happy.
So tell me a little bit more about that last line. Your connection was deep, sad, and happy. Sad about Harvey?
No, I understand that he had to go away, that his soul was taken.
So what were you sad and happy about?
But I was sad that I didn't get more connection with God.
When? Now?
Past and as well.
So you felt a
as
sense
now.
of regret
Some regret.
over your
But
past?
I challenge God. I want him to be my father. And I feel him from time to time when I just think about it. When I think about God and his holiness and what I'm going through now and how happy I am to be here with you and my friends.
So what were the tears about?
I'm not sure. I think just connection with God.
Okay, interesting. Anybody else? Gail, you want to say something? Or?
Well, first of all, I felt a lot of what you were sharing. I felt
Thank you.
that, but I think,
You need
so
this?
first of all, like, so much of my journey back has been intellectual and like trying to grasp and trying to understand, like, does Judaism make sense? And I feel like through that meditation, first of all, I felt goosebumps in my entire body, and I also felt like I was on fire. But I feel like all of that just went right out the window, and there was this overwhelming thought of like, my life doesn't belong to me. Like, I didn't create myself.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about me and what I think and what makes sense to me and what I like and what fits into my lifestyle. It was like all this stuff that I negotiate. It was just gone in an instant, and it was just like this feeling of like, I belong to God. I'm not alone, and this is what I need to do. even if I don't like it. It doesn't mean I'm gonna walk out of here and be whatever. It's not, but it was like at least the clarity of like, this is it. You've got to do this, and it doesn't really matter what you think anymore. Like the you is gone. So it's very powerful.
Very interesting.
And the tears were humility.
Yeah.
And the what?
The tears were tears of humility.
Oh, you had tears too?
Oh,
Yes.
a lot.
That's
It
what
was
it
like,
was.
it was humility before
Humble
God that
before God.
I kind of like didn't really care what he wanted. It was really more about what's going to be comfortable for me.
You mean you're regretting that you were focusing on the wrong thing? Is that what you said?
I'm regretting that I was being very like selfish in my journey of like what's going to work for me. And yeah, the fact that I had a history and a lot of people to blame makes it very easy for me not to want to embrace this because
Okay.
I've got an excuse, but it doesn't matter. You know,
Very
that's
interesting.
what it
I would
was.
like to write that down, actually. I'm sorry, go ahead, Rosalind.
Yeah, I always felt throughout my life that God was with me. I never felt, even when I did not go to synagogue, I always felt his presence, and he was always there for me to help me with my life. He was. Whatever I wanted, if I asked God, he gave it to me. I can't understand it. I know it sounds a bit crazy, but this is the way I felt. I come here because I listen to you and how you present things. I mean, I went to Young Israel of Flatbush forever, when I was young. But this is different. This whole ideas that you present. I mean, I went to the Chabad in Palm Beach. It's not like this. I mean, that's why
Rosalind,
I come here.
what were you feeling in the beginning when you first spoke? Can you describe that to me again?
Excuse me?
Can you remind me what you said that you were feeling in the very beginning?
In the very beginning, I
When
saw
you
the
first spoke,
universe.
right? And then what did you say?
I saw planets
Yeah.
and sparks. Then tears started to come
Right.
down my face, uncontrollable.
What were they from?
Happiness.
Okay, interesting. Gotcha.
Happiness.
Okay, so here's what I want to say to you.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I got the chills.
Upper right.
I got the chills.
so thank you for all those that shared
All
comments.
the way up.
Gail,
Up.
All the
that middle button,
Ashley's
that's it,
here.
the middle button.
Ashley's here, it's okay.
Okay.
So I want. Yeah. Yeah, Steve.
I'd like to ask the men
Yeah.
if they were emotional.
Oh, good question.
Well, can we have any comments on the men? Can you share your comment?
I don't think it was emotional. I thought the first thing I experienced is lack of thought, of other thoughts.
Okay.
My mind was pure and clear.
Yes.
Okay.
But I didn't get emotional.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Andy, did you get emotional?
No, but for me it's unfair because for me Adon Olam has been a key part of my faith, the key part of my faith for years. And so in this exercise, I didn't hear you anymore. I was spaced out by the time you got to the end. But when I'm conscious and I bring it from mentally, I think I'm still in Chosma Bina and not in the Das part.
Okay, it's
I
good
take
that you
it
know that.
From the universal part to Vahu Eli, V'chai Go'ali, that's the part that internalizes it back to me when I'm fully awake and my eyes are open. That makes perfect sense to me.
So maybe you should meditate with eyes open then.
So much so that the first part, and you said it one time in the Amidah, the first paragraph is the most important one. So I start out with just the first words of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God as being the creator of the universe, but nevertheless he comes back to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, just in the first paragraph of the Amidah. This one takes it not to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but to me, Vahu Eli, V'chai Go'ali, V'tzurchev li, V'eitzara, Vahu Nisi, Umanos.
My God, my refuge.
Everything,
All,
that's why
all
it's
of
so
that,
personal.
right? Not Avraham, Yitzchak, but that's the only difference for me from the first paragraph of the Amidah to this one. But yes, all of that, and on an intellectual level, and again, sorry, I'm not in the Das part, but on an intellectual level, I totally get that in order to have a power that would take all the matter of the universe that is now the universe and explode it all and make everything spin out in galaxies and all of that, it had to be a very powerful entity to make it.
So was there any emotion at all? Anything? Anything? Shred?
Not that I remember.
Was there a shred of emotion?
When I first...
I'm not saying tears.
Okay.
Was there a shred of feeling based upon what you just described? There was,
Absolutely.
yeah.
When I first started out and it got better afterwards, but the part that was when I first started out with this one is the part that stays with me, is that whatever problems I think I have are unimportant.
Was that part of this meditation, you mean?
Yeah, because if you can think of nature, of God, of the universe, of all of that, little stuff that I have in my daytime doesn't matter.
Good. Steve, can you share any thoughts on that before I comment?
It's interesting because I experienced what we did just now at night.
At what?
At night. If I go to sleep with a business problem, most times I wake up with a solution. But I only can do it when I'm sleeping.
Okay.
Same thing.
So the first thing I do when I sleep is I try to get rid of all my thoughts and just focus on my problem.
Do you use that going along before you go to sleep?
No.
It is in
But what are you saying? I just want to understand. So what are you saying? So
I'm just saying that I do meditation. I never called it meditation, but I would call it deep sleep when I go through this Das moment.
So you clear your mind of other problems, focus on this one, and you go to sleep focusing on the problem.
When I wake up, I have the answer.
So how is that similar to this meditation? What happened?
It's the same thing.
Because you cleared your mind?
You're focusing on one thing, it's laser, and the Das is connecting with the solution to me, how it's going to solve my problem.
So did you have any emotion?
No.
Did you have a shred of emotion?
No.
So you didn't have any feeling of warmth for the light?
Well, I did of the breath. I actually felt the warm breath.
No, warmth,
I didn't cry.
a feeling. No, I'm not saying tears. Don't get it to tears. I mean here. But my question is, did you feel any like attraction to that infinite light at all? Like an intellectual attraction?
Intellectually, I know that God is everything and we're nothing. Intellectually, I understand that already.
But so you definitely didn't feel anything. The question is, did you have like a shred of emotion or not?
No.
Okay, fine. So let me comment on this.
Hang on, I'm not so sure about that. I mean, I tend to think, like you were saying, but maybe that's our emotion.
Is
That's
that
where-
love in general?
I'm going to comment on it right now.
That's what emotion is for us. I mean, we don't-
Okay, let me give you some comments on this. All right.
Okay, please.
First of all, I want to thank you all for your being good sports here on the meditation. I think that was really nice.
Ooh,
So I want to share with you what just happened and my reflections on what just happened. Any comments from you, Dean?
I was trying to get into it. I heard the children. I heard someone come in and go out. And she was sniffling. And I heard, and it was
So you're going to focus. You're going to let go.
I couldn't let go. I
Fine.
just was
No problem.
so...
No problem. That's fine. That's good.
I need
Thanks
quiet.
for your honesty. I appreciate that. So look, let me give some comments on this, okay? Here's what I think happened. There were certain people that were just not able to get into the mindset, like you, for example. You just couldn't get to it. Maybe a little too defensive, a little too...
I needed to be back there, not right
Okay,
here.
no problem. You know what? And we'll learn with that, okay? But here's what I want to say. It's amazing to me. Come on, Robin. It's amazing to me to see that Gail, Corey, Rosalind, Charlotte all felt various kinds of emotion. Gail was feeling intimacy with God, right?
Yeah, humility. Almost.
Okay, humility. Corey was feeling anger, which turned into reconciliation and love. It's very different. Rosalind was feeling tears of happiness, and Charlotte was busy with regret over time and relationship and the lost time over the past relationship. At least that's how my understanding of what you said was. And I think that's extraordinary because we really had a Das experience, at least those of you that care to share that. I'd mark what you said down as well because you was talking about some healing thing, so I didn't really focus on that. But what I'm saying is that with regards to the meditation, I think that for some of you it worked, and I think that, I mean, those tears to me looked like some real expression of something going on inside of your heart. So I felt that that was an authentic expression of emotion that was aroused. I mean, just the way Corey described it was spectacular. The way you described that you've really been struggling and stuck in mourning and grief and bereavement, and that you were able to experience some catharsis on that. That's beautiful. Obviously, the meditation will impact you where you are in life, right? And I loved how your anger with God, like if you're all powerful, then why did you do this to me? And then you sort of put things into perspective, and you went through this process of anger turning into reconciliation and love. So for some of us here experienced some real emotion, and that's Beinani stuff. If you can do that more often, and I highly encourage you to replay the meditation. Unfortunately, I did get a phone call. So I don't know how. My phone's in airplane mode. I got a phone call in the middle, so I just hung up immediately in the middle of the meditation.
I didn't hear it.
I know, I hung it right away.
Where do I get it?
You'll get it. It's going to be stuck in. It's going
No,
to,
but
unfortunately.
I'm saying, where do you get the tape, the meditation?
We'll send it to you.
Oh, you
But
send it?
unfortunately, it came up here. It literally interrupted in the middle of the meditation, which is going to be a problem. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know. But it is what it is. I'm just letting you know that there was a phone call in the middle, and it cut the meditation, unfortunately. I think I went through Wi-Fi, because I was on Wi-Fi, I think.
Okay.
But anyways, then there were people like Andy. Andy was honest enough to tell us that he couldn't get into Das. He's stuck in Bina still, right? Which is very nice that you're aware of that.
Although it may be that this is a guide thing.
No. This is chapter 16. You are chapter 16. I'll tell you why.
Chapter 16.
I'll tell you why you are chapter 16. Because chapter 16 tells us like this. After everything that we've learned so far, we know that the path of the Beinani to self-mastery over thought, speech, and action over TSA is through meditation, which arouses a fiery love. That's lovely. But, says Tanya, chapter 16, that's all nice and fine if you're capable of arousing an emotion of fire, a fiery emotion and love of God within your heart. That's great. But some of us can't. Some of us aren't able to arouse an emotion of love. Why? It all depends on your soul's root. If your soul's root comes from emotions the way they were full-blown emotions, you will be able to experience full-blown emotions. But if your soul root is rooted in emotion, heavenly emotion, divine, the image of God, the emotions of God, the way they were still intellectual hidden within the intellect, then you will not have your emotions will stay in utero. You won't be able to bring forth your emotions. You won't be able to.
Or at some
You'll
point?
have a real problem with that.
Emotions to God or emotions in life?
Both. It's all the same.
One and the same.
So it says in Tanya, some people are just less emotional than others.
Oh, yeah.
So some people are just less emotional, and perhaps women maybe are more emotional, and maybe they come from a place where maybe they come from that full-blown emotive place in the divine sphere, and maybe men as an overgeneralization, right? Maybe men might be rooted in undeveloped emotions, like early stage emotions.
Nurture versus
Nature.
I'm not talking about nurture. I'm only talking about nature right now. I'm talking about the way they're rooted, where they come from. I'm only talking about nature. So what then their soul's nature might just be coming from a place where they can't give birth to that emotion. How do you explain? You were in tears, and he was like, Steve was like, totally water of a duck's back.
It's also
How do you explain
how
this?
open you are to it. I mean,
The
a lot of
defensiveness,
people,
right.
Like if you
say there's like a
if you-
wall that
If you did this meditation with me 5 years ago, I don't think I would have felt anything.
Right.
I
So it's got a
think-
lot to do with how open you are where you are. So now, what does Tanya say to this person? What does Tanya say to Andy and Steve that they're not feeling anything?
good luck.
Keep doing it.
No. Tanya says there's hope for you guys. Tanya says there's hope. That's chapter 16. What it says in chapter 16 is that if you meditate, don't give up. Don't give up in the meditation. Because what's going to happen sooner or later is that instead of feeling a flood of emotion, like some of the women might have felt, you will feel what's called a tevuna. A tevuna love means an intellectual love. It's like a firm resolution. It's an intellectual leaning, a firm resolution of the conclusion. You'll feel like what I asked Andy was, did you have a shred of emotion? That's what I asked you, and you said yes. Steve said no, right? That's why I think Andy's the key to chapter 16, because that shred of emotion was like, yeah, I think I can it looked like an emotion, it didn't feel like an emotion, but maybe it like leaned towards an emotion. That's what chapter 16 says is the intellectual love that we, even the emotionally immature amongst us, right, are still able to cultivate. And that tevuna, that resolution, that shred of emotion, that intellectual love, it's an intellectual thing. You're still calm, relaxed. You're not like fiery, emotional, and all over the place. You're not crying tears. You're intellectual. You're composed and calm, but you do feel like a little pull, a tug.
And I think
and
when you said that he can figure stuff out in the morning. It's that as well.
But Doug, can I just say something?
I just want to finish this point. So what I'm saying is, Tanya 16 says that tug of the of the emotionally immature or underdeveloped amongst us is also enough to motivate to guide your TSA, your thought, speech, and action. You might not be able to arouse a full-blown emotion that will guide your thought, speech, and action, but at the very least, you should be aware. Don't give up on your meditation das, because that shred of emotion, that intellectual emotion that you'll be arousing, that too is enough to be able to guide your thought, speech, and action.
What I was going to say is, if I wasn't in the midst of terrible grief right now, I wouldn't have been crying like this.
Who knows?
I might have had
no grief.
But what I'm saying is, I really think it does depend a little bit on your circumstances.
Yeah, it's fine.
Time.
No need to apologize, Corey. There's no need to apologize. No disclaimers necessary. I want to tell you, Rabbi Vigler is a chassid of the Alter Rebbe, and he quoted the Alter Rebbe in the name of the Baal Shem Tov in an amazing statement. You know, there's a mitzvah to love God. Ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. It's the opening words of the Shema. And you shall love God, your God. So how are you supposed to love God, your God, if you're not able to arouse emotion? How can you do that if you can't arouse emotion? So in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, he said in Yiddish that the mitzvah to love Hashem is as mezol zicharain ton. The mitzvah to love Hashem is that you should immerse yourself in ideas that arouse the love.
I see.
What actually results for this is none of your business. It's not in your control whether that immersion in the ideas that arouse love, whether they actually arouse the love, or just an intellectual tug towards love, is none of your power, control, or your business. It's not. The mitzvah is not to love, it's to take the steps towards love. Right? And that's what chapter 16 is all about.
And tell me what tevina is again?
Tevuna, it means it comes from the word bina. Tevuna. It's like a bina love. Call it a bina love. Because you can't get a das love, right? Because you can't get a das love. Das love would create a full-blown emotion, full-blown love, right? But it doesn't have to be love. It was anger for a while by Corey, right? For a while it was anger.
But underneath anger is always love.
Okay, well, she was able to access that. That's great. Point is that even if you're not comfortable in the world of das, and some of us more, some of us less, nevertheless, don't give up on yourself, because you certainly can reach the tevuna love. Why? You see, we can't control how we feel, but we absolutely can control. We absolutely can control what we think about. You can always control what you choose to think about. You cannot control how you feel about this person, but you can control what you think about. And that is always within our power. And this is the self-mastery of Tanya 16 now, of the long method to becoming that Beinani. Whether you do it through a full-blown love, that's going to be the long way, which is going to get you to your destination, the long but short. But even if you can't get to that full-blown love of das, you can still get a bina love, a tevuna love, right? Which is a tug in the right direction, like Andy said, a shred of emotion, right? You wouldn't really call it an emotion because it was in the world of the intellect. But there was an epis, a pull, right? That pull towards that light, that infinite light, you saw how he said it? The way he's talking about Adon Olam, there was like a fire in his eyes when he said, V'hu Eli, v'chai go'ali, v'tzur chevli, b'etzra. There was something there, but it was purely intellectual. But there was a fire in your eyes, right? That's a Tvun Olav. And that's sufficient to guide your TSA, your thought, speech, and action. And that really is the conclusion of chapter 16. The Alter Rebbe just concludes the chapter by saying that, there's 4 worlds. There's Atzilus, Beriah, Yetzira, and Asiya. The world of emanation, creation, formation, and action. We live in the world of action, in the lowest level of the world of action. The highest world, the world of emanation, is within the Godhead. But when you do mitzvahs of the full-blown love, the love and awe of God serve as wings that lift up the mitzvah to the world of creation, to the second world. But when you do the Tevun love, then that too raises your mitzvah as if a full-blown love to the same place, to the world of Bria, the second world, right?
Well, that's good.
That's good to know.
I thought I was destined
Stuck in this world, and that, folks, really is the conclusion of chapter 16. Okay, yeah.
If you don't feel and you can't connect, then how could you love another human being? I'm leaving now.
That's a great question.
No. I'll tell you why.
No.
I'll tell you why. Because you're not proactively doing that. You're not guiding your emotion. You're reacting to, you happen to think that they look attractive or they happen to make you feel good. But it's not something which you can, as a mensch, as a human being, as a mind over matter person, say, I want to develop a relationship with that person, and I'm going to learn to love my fellow Jew. You know why? Because he's my fellow Jew, for no other better reason than that, right? That's not something which you're in control of. You're less in control. Whereas the people that you love because they're my family, because they did nice things to me, because they saved me from drowning in a river, because they saved me on a 911 call. That's why I love them. But not because of something which I actively meditated towards. So should we be doing more of these meditations?
Yes. I want
Those are great.
Yeah, can I just make one other comment?
Oh, I love that.
I just want to say 2 things. First of all, I've been meditating for 17, 18 years. I'm a meditator, and I've done really, really deep meditations. I want to say, I had some time to think after I shared before. This is the first time in my life, and I meditate a lot, where I felt something profound physically. My body physically felt it, emotionally and spiritually at the same time.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of spiritual meditations where my spirit is totally enmeshed, but I'm almost disconnected from my body, and whatever. I'm not saying bad or good. I'm just sharing that.
Wow.
Coming from a long history of meditation, this is the first time where
Wow.
it hit me on all 3 levels. And I also want to say, and this is just me, my experience, that 5 minutes or whatever it was more powerful and profound for me in terms of getting me to make the shifts that I want to make than if you had been lecturing for 30 hours on that topic, because then it just hits the cerebral.
Because my lecture is a Bina lecture.
Exactly.
Right.
And
Not that they're not
this-
interesting.
But it's Bina. It's not.
It's not
Right.
The das
Yeah.
is here,
But
and that's why I said this is different to your class. Your class is Bina. This is das. This is the whole. This is scuba
Right.
diving,
Yeah.
right? This is scuba diving, right?
This is very good.
So
Yeah.
thank you. That's profound
So
feedback.
I think, in fact, when I was listening, now, not after, but I'm saying to myself, this, if I did this every morning, it's going to have way more effect than if I said brachos. Not that I shouldn't, but I haven't, and I've
No, it's going to motivate you to say brachas.
That's right.
maybe, but it's
It
like
is.
it's
The
like
love of
So
God,
were you,
absolutely.
just one thing I want to ask. Were you able to follow the logic there of why you can connect to Hashem through the Torah mitzvahs? Did that connect for you? Did that make sense in the meditation?
Oh. Well, I think what resonated,
Or maybe you need to listen to it again.
The part that resonated. No, I heard that. I remember that. I think the part that resonated for me was not so much of what I need to do to access God, but what I need to let go of to stop
Okay.
blocking God.
I think you'll need to listen to it a few times then, in that case. I totally understand
I
that.
do things that block God.
I wonder if there's a way for us to like patch these two together, the two recordings, because that annoying phone call in the middle.
I can give you one.
Oh, you can do. You have one solid.
Two.
Two what?
Two recordings. So I'll give you one.
Oh, beautiful. Great. So we'll do it before you leave.
But you know
What were you
what,
about to say?
Okay.
My question is, are you saying you cannot get to Das without emotion? Or you can get there without emotion?
No. You don't get to Das through emotion. Das is the gatekeeper to emotion.
Okay.
That's what Tanya chapter 3 says. You know, Das is, just to remind you what it says in chapter 3. Das is the same word for sexual intimacy in Hebrew.
That's right. Yeah.
And Adam knew Eve, right?
Knew Eve.
The reason is because just like Adam and Eve became one, so too the wisdom and I can only become one through Das. Right? Make sense?
Yeah.
And that, when you become one, now you start to feel love. Right? Now, or hate, or anger, or resentment, or guilt, or whatever other emotions were being discussed over here.
One
Right?
thing no one talked about was the niggin, and I happen to be my favorite. And when I listen to that, that also brings up emotions.
That's good.
I never
you know.
heard it before.
Oh
First
yeah,
time.
he sings. You sing it at the
Yeah, like Friday night I
table
sing it, right?
Sometimes, yeah. But I mean, it's very stirring.
Yeah.
I like
That.
that.
Well, so the niggin is helpful. To me, I find it very helpful.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Oh, no, you have to have the niggin with
Right.
there.
Your
Yeah.
voice is great, but it doesn't substitute.
Right, I think it sets the right context. Anyways, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We'll carry on next week, God willing, with chapter 17.
Beautiful.
We're covering ground here. I'll see if I can...
I'll be stuck in chapter 16, I'm sorry.
No, but you know what? That's good.
still
I want you
there,
to know the
that's
Alter Rebbe didn't give up on you. That's what I want you to know. The whole 16 is for you, and you should do it again because that's who you are. And you know what? Many of us are there in that inability to become